The ACT scores are getting lower. ACT? ACT. We's getting smarter in America. I'm so glad we's in Florida with homeschool.
Homeschool.
We homeschooling our kids.
It's a good thing you and I are homeschooling
We're better
our
than,
kids.
Because it's definitely better than public school.
We getting ready for the SATs and the ACTs, and my kid's gonna SAT the ACTs.
Yeah.
And the,
Somebody sat test. He kept sitting down and kept failing. What's going on here?
we're
Guys,
off to a rip-roaring
just listen.
start.
Not only have they hit a 30-year low, but some universities have opted to drop admission testing requirements altogether.
Because that'll work out well. That'll be
So
great.
because we're not teaching them to be smarter, now we're just going to be like stupids. We'll let them all in.
You know, we just can't discriminate against the dumb.
High school students' results have been declining for 6 straight years. It's actually been longer than that.
Yeah.
We've actually
Oh, yeah.
dummied the SAT scores 3 times,
Three
I think. 3 to 4
think,
times.
over 40 years or something.
Yep. The average composite score declined by 0.3 points from 2022. The average scores for mathematics, reading, and science were below ACT college readiness benchmarks. The minimum scores required for students have been a high probability of success in a college-level course. Isn't it crazy, dude, that in America, this is what we've been doing, is adopting, if they can't do it, we'll reduce our standards and bring them in instead of raising the bar and saying, no, if you can't attain it, you can't come.
Just like the military, right? So the military, or the border, like, oh, well, these standards are kind of high, so we'll just lower it down a little bit, and then everybody will be happy because we all love lower standards in results, right?
Right. It's like that dude was saying about the pilots. He's like, for the sake of diversity and inclusion, it was a comedian. I think Rob Schneider said it when he was like, so why can't it just be the pilot that's the best qualified instead of diversity? He goes, I kind of like my white pilot who can land this thing safely if he's white. I don't care if he's black or white. If he can land it safely and he's been doing it for 25 years, why get rid of him to bring in someone else? You know what I mean?
I've got so many jokes that I could make that I don't want to.
Anyways, listen, ACT CEO Janet Godwin.
This one's good.
She said, we're also continuing to see a rise in the number of seniors leaving high school without meeting any of the college readiness benchmarks.
I love how she couches it kind of in this they're not meeting the college benchmarks. They're dumb.
Oh, man. That one caught me off guard there.
I finish her quote because I want to do Turley.
Even as student GPAs
really
continue to rise, the students report that they feel prepared to be successful in college.
Yeah,
that's just like saying you can just pastor without reading the Bible.
Right.
You can preach without reading the words.
You go for
just
it.
Go with your heart.
You've got a heart for it. Use ChatGPT.
That's what they're doing now.
They are.
Shocking. Anyways, listen. The hard truth is that we are not doing enough to ensure the graduates are truly ready for post-secondary success in college and career. These systemic problems require systemic problems.
Keyword.
Every stinking time. All that says to these kids is, you're not the problem, it's the system.
The system. The system is the one at fault.
Now, systems been doing this for years. People in the past have had to graduate with high SAT scores to go into Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all these things. Prestigious colleges, right? So now we drop standards and it's the system's problem. Because there's crooks and sin and avarice and ambition, it's the cops' fault. It's systemic racism. It's all these things. You notice that? Destroy the institution, then what you do is you create a new institution based on hierarchy. So in other words, now we're saying, since you're stupid, we're going to be your king eventually anyways. Seriously. Since you can't control yourself, we're going to legalize it. And what that's going to do is weaken you. And so we're creating a weaker society is what we're doing.
And people tend to point at that as a conspiracy theory. Like, oh, you're just saying they're making everybody dumb and submitted. It's like, well, let's look at what the system does. Look at the fruit. Whether it's conscious or not, the fruit is make them more dumb, make them compliant, move forward with that, and then they'll do whatever you want them to do. And they won't question. Because it's the smart ones who are going to question what is going on and what's happening. Man, I feel like I'm walking through a minefield here, but the dumber you get, the less you're going to question what they're doing. Oh, well, the experts told me just jab myself in the arm 20 times and then I'll be safe. Exactly. I'll be safe for 2 months. So then I get another and another and another and another.
We do not care.
That's right. So then Janet Godwin says this is not up to teachers and principals alone. It is a shared national priority and imperative. Listen.
Go for it.
Dude, we've been raising money for schools through presidential campaigns for years. We need more money for schooling. We need more money. And we're getting stupider as we give them more money.
You know what I love is...
I'm saying more stupider on purpose, guys.
Yeah. The one group she left out, the kids.
Or the parents.
Right? Like, think about this. It is a shared national priority and imperative. This is not up to teachers and principals alone. Our kids need to take more responsibility with their education.
But also, too, that's that whole idea of the state owns your kids, not you own your kids, right? That's the language now. That's what they're doing. Listen closely. They're saying this is a national issue, not a parental issue, not a kid's issue.
Not a family issue.
See what they're doing?
Not a responsibility issue.
This socialism, communism bullcrap is creeping in like this with this kind of language. Beware of this kind of language.
It colors how you see everything, and that's the danger.
Listen, Proverbs...
colors how you see everything.
Proverbs is clear, dude. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding.
Yep.
We remove God. We do just get dumber by nature. You know what I mean? So that's why we're talking about this. When you talk about knowledge and wisdom, the Bible says in James, if you lack wisdom, ask of God. He won't withhold it from you, but don't be double-minded about it. Ask of God. He'll give it to you liberally, he says. So when we're talking about wisdom and knowledge, that's why you instruct your kids in the fear of the Lord. That's why we teach them commandments. As a matter of fact, the scriptures alone can show wisdom to a person. That's when in the book of Acts, when it was like they said that when they saw the disciples, they saw them as unlearned and ignorant men, but they basically took notice that they'd been with Jesus because the Spirit of the Lord was on them, and it made them smarter than who they really were. That the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God, right? But when God chooses wise people, he will use them for his service. Matter of fact, he chooses weak people and make them wise. And so we're seeing now these kids who are not raised up in the faith, who are not raised up in these things, now we're allowing them by the state to do this. Now the state can take care of our children. The state is going to do this. This is all that Kamala Harris or, Hillary Clinton, it's the village that raises our children. It's not you that raises your children. They're not your kids. That's why you shouldn't know if they want to be transgender or not, if they want to get an abortion. You don't need to know, right? It's child abuse if you don't do this. The state is now saying they're your kid's daddy and mommy.
And the worst part is they're not even good at it. So Jonathan Turley reports, we get asked a lot, like, okay, what news sources and journalists do you guys trust? We got asked that in the God-Given Liberty class that we ran because we're amazing and we teach. Boom.
Not to spike the football,
but we're amazing.
Gronk spike.
Gronk spike. One of the journalists that I appreciate and I like is Jonathan Turley. I also like Matt Taibbi. I love Glenn Greenwald. I like Tim Pool. Yeah, these
Tim Pool's good too.
Yeah, and what I like about all these guys is they're more concerned about the truth than their ideology. Now, their ideology can kind of color it sometimes. We all do that, but as far as the generalization, they're pretty even.
To all of you who suck at the ACT right now, ideology means your belief system.
So like
I feel so bad
80% of our high school population. It's okay. We go to homeschool conventions.
We're purposely doing this. This is really satirical, but also honest. Okay, we're not normally mean.
Right. So Turley, he reports. Just let it hang.
Yes, let it hang.
The latest shocking statistic was released this week that 23 schools in Baltimore City had 0 students who tested proficient in math. 23 schools in Baltimore City had 0 students who tested. Yes, I know. Tested proficient in math. These schools include 10 high schools, 8 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 2 elementary middle schools. The state found that 2,000 students who took the state test could not do math at grade level. Bruh. Good pick. The Baltimore public educational system as an example of where billions of dollars have been spent on a system that continues to have appalling scores and standards. Recent data, get ready for bruh again, Recent data now offers another chilling statistic. 41% of students in the Baltimore system have a 1.0 GPA or less.
Bruh.
41%. Also discussed how a high school student almost graduated near top half of his class after failing every class but 3 in 4 years. He had a 0.13 GPA. His mother objected and went public. He almost graduated top half of his class with a 0.13 GPA. The only reason he even got found out was because his mom went public with it. This is the state of your school system.
Truth. This is where we're at.
This is it. Homeschool your kids.
No, it really is. We were joking about the whole homeschool thing. We were actually joking about it on the way here.
Yeah.
We're like, we should just do a whole skit on like, we love homeschool, not school, homeschool. And so we feel in our hearts to warn you. You can send your kids to a public school. And I'm with all the guys who say, you send them to Caesar, they become Romans,
Right.
But we can't force you to like decide to do this, right? You got to know that this is what you want to do with your children. However, Satan has no prejudices. He's got a way of getting in somehow, some way. And I'm noticing it exists in Christian schools too, okay? My kids went to a Christian school and they were exposed to pornography from friends and things like that,
Yep.
okay? But more than likely, if they go to a Christian school, you can at least have a counselor there, somebody who's going to talk them through it, walk them through it, hopefully, right? Homeschooling, at least you have the best shot at like regulating and guarding that safe gate, right? You're at home. Now, my kids won't be able to mingle with other kids. Have you seen modern kids today on their phones?
You want them socialized like that?
But wait. Have you seen modern kids? They can't even hold a conversation. They're texting each other next to each other. Don't talk to me about them not being able to socialize.
Yeah.
Most kids today can't even look at you in the face, shake your hand, and say yes, sir, no, ma'am, or no, sir,
and
or yes, ma'am.
What we're finding is the homeschool kid crowd, as a general rule, they look in your eyes.
Respectful.
They're respectful.
God willing.
They have a mature conversation with you. They have their own ideas and thoughts. They know what they're talking about.
And
we're
talking
learning.
We're talking about homeschool, not like the free range homeschool. I'm not against it, but there are a lot of kids who are wild in the homeschool world too.
Yeah.
Now, they develop cool things. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. Don't let them take the ACT test and make sure they sit down a lot to pass the SAT test.
And just to round that out, just to put a cherry on top, top spending public school districts are also some of the worst performing school districts. New York topped the per capita spending at $24,000 per kid. Mind you, you could say, well, they're really big districts, so they have a lot of kids, so they spend a lot of money. No, per capita, $24,000 per kid. DC is close at $22,000. Baltimore is often ranked in the top 3 per capita. Total budget for Baltimore public schools is roughly $1.2 billion. As for a city with a total population of roughly 600,000. 2015, the school population was 84,000 kids.
What do you think? Nathan, what do you think? Where's your camera? Where's your camera angle? What do you think?
Bruh.
What do you think? There's your microphone. Say it. What do you think about all this? Do you want to be in public school?
Is it this one? Okay.
Yeah, put your camera on.
Angle. Yep. There you go.
Bruh.
All right.
I'm proud of that little boy, man. He's managing the whole podcast right now. His brother was really sick this morning.
Yep.
He's been sick for a couple days. And Nathan was like, I don't know if I can do it. He's crushing it. You helped. I mean, we helped, but like he's producing the whole thing, doing all the sound effects. He's doing amazing. So, Nathan, come on. He deserves a raise, but I'm not giving.
Why did our headphones go super loud?
They didn't.
Mine did.
Well, he might have hit your button.
Oh, that
but
could be.
He wants a raise, but I'm not going to do it. That's not how the real world works, son.
Yeah.
There's still 6-month processes.
You got
That's in the ACT test.
You got to you got to bleed and die for this organization.
That's right.